Man gets ill on a plane before 20 other passengers decide to intervene.
But before we start, please make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and smash that like button. We really appreciate your continuous support.
Whether it's your first time on a plane or you're the queen of frequent flyer miles, getting sick while trapped thousands of feet above the ground stinks. With limited cabin space and no guarantee of a doctor on board, you're often forced to stew in your discomfort for a long time. Tom McKay felt right at home soaring through the clouds. As a retired U.S. Air Force colonel, he was in the pilot seat for decades as far back as the Vietnam War. But in his retirement, Tom preferred to kick back and just be a passenger. He and his wife Maggie were excited for all the adventures in store now for them that they had the time. In March of 2017, the happy couple set off on a cruise. They sipped fruity cocktails poolside and bronzed in the sun. Rejuvenated by their sabbatical, but ready to head back home to their family in Texas, Maggie and Tom packed their suitcases and boarded a plane. For the first half of their flight, it was smooth sailing. Tom and Maggie were comfortably nestled in their seats. But then Maggie noticed an alarming change in Tom. Tom lost consciousness and slumped in his seat. Immediately, Maggie jumped into action. "I went into panic mode," she said. "I started yelling, 'I need help. I need a doctor.'" Tom was out cold, and Maggie, who was an experienced nurse, knew he was in serious trouble. In the seconds, all she could do was pray that someone would be able to assist her. Thankfully, fate was on the couple's side. A healthcare professional stood up and quickly took action. But it didn't stop there. Another healthcare professional joined his side, and then another. A whopping 25 people came to help. Well, odd, there was an explanation. They attended an annual medical conference at the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology in Atlanta and were traveling home. Together, 5 of the responding volunteers came to Tom's aid. They worked to stabilize the unconscious man. Maggie stood by while the doctors worked on her husband. They were able to reassure her quickly. Dr. Acock said, "We knew that he was going to be okay from his stable blood pressure counts." Though they agreed that Tom's life wasn't in danger, they couldn't agree about what caused the attack. One doctor attributed the scare to mixing alcohol with medication. However, Dr. Acock disagreed. He felt Tom's alcohol consumption wasn't enough to cause a reaction. Instead, he believed Tom was suffering from dehydration. Disagreements aside, they worked as a team to make Tom well. Meanwhile, the crew was there to help. First, they brought the doctors their medical bags, and then they made sure the pilots were up to date in case an emergency landing was necessary. 10 tense minutes later, Tom's pulse increased. His eyes flickered open, and he gaped at the 5 concentrated faces hovering above him. Maggie was flooded with relief. The plane landed within minutes, and medical personnel were standing by at the airport, ready to whisk Tom off to the hospital. But he declined. Instead, he headed off to see his own doctor. Southwest Airlines issued a statement following Tom's health scare. "We're beyond grateful for the aid provided by several medical professionals to stabilize a passenger. There is no convenient time for a medical emergency, but the situation could have been catastrophic had it not been for their fellow passengers. I just feel like God was hovering over the plane with the number of doctors there," Maggie confessed.